Hey digital identity friends, I'm Lance from RootsID, talking self-sovereign identity. RootsID is an open source development group that builds software for grassroots identity efforts that matter. We engage with SSI communities like Trust Over IP, Decentralized Identity Foundation, and Hyperledger, all with the mission of bringing SSI to the mainstream. Thank you to our sponsors at Catalyst and Prism. The deal was simple. Big Tech creates digital worlds that we love. In exchange, we give them pieces of our identity to personalize that digital world, including targeted ads to fund it. Big Tech did not disappoint. Their innovations in our communities made digital life a reality so we could learn, work, game, exercise, bank, and invest. We were happy to move away from physical paper and long lines, replacing them instead with digital experiences that are fast, convenient, and kind of secure. Each provider created an identity silo that they control. Your data in those silos is valuable to them. The aggregate of all of our data in those silos is incredibly valuable for advertising and other business analytics. Google knows what's trending, and your investment platform knows what is being bought and sold. At the same time, these innovations influence government, medical, and educational institutions to set up their own digital silos for your identity information. Our digital identities took shape in fragmented pieces that are controlled by these providers. Our accounts are owned by the providers we use. This makes them the root of trust. They can choose to keep or delete the identity information connected to it. Most of the silos don't talk to each other, but they are happy to learn even more about you by providing authentication services for other providers. We are generally okay with trading a little more about ourselves to avoid generating another account. Self-sovereign identity called SSI gives your digital identity a fresh start. Your identity starts with you. You create a digital seed that only you know and recognize. From that seed, you can generate a unique identifier for yourself. It's much more powerful than an email address or username or siloed profile. Since you own your identifier and only you know the seed, you have achieved cryptographic root of trust over it. This is the starting point for every self-sovereign identity. You get to decide what parts of your identity to make public and what to make private. You could think of your private identifiers like the hidden roots of your identity tree and your public identifiers being like the visible branches. But if we're going to retire the legacy identity silos, we have to replace those usernames and database IDs with something. In SSI, most of the legacy tech still works. It's only the identifiers that we need to take control of so that we can be ourselves on any app. The most influential internet standards body is the W3C. They recommended the creation of URLs for internet resources in the 80s and 90s. After several years of development, the W3C has now recommended a type of SSI identifier called a decentralized identifier, or DID. DIDs are used to identify people, organizations, or other types of things that we have relationships with. But if we create our DIDs on a private device using private seeds, how does anyone use the DID on the internet to connect with our identity? Groups like Trust Over IP, Decentralized Identity Foundation, Hyperledger Ares, and the W3C are working together to build the open source software, standards, and governance frameworks needed to integrate DIDs into our favorite apps. For instance, to resolve the public information for a DID, the Decentralized Identity Foundation has built a universal resolver that can resolve the 50 most common types of DIDs. And RootsID was able to integrate the Prism DID method into the diff-DID resolver to serve Prism DID documents. We'll talk more about DID methods and DID documents in a future video, but for now, think of them like the internet equivalent of a business card for your identity. We're also planning a video about SSI verifiable credentials and how we can be sure that Dwight Schrute is not the assistant regional manager of Dunder Mifflin. RootsID's integration using the diff-DID resolver was all part of a Catalyst Fund 8 proposal that we are delivering. In Catalyst Fund 9, we've submitted 9 proposals, including enhancements to our identity wallets called Roots Wallet and WalCli, a proposal to bring our Cardano SSI community closer to the Hyperledger Ares community, a Discord-based social credential proposal, a proposal to explore verifiable credential formats and standards, and a proposal to research how Cardano can bridge to the Carry SSI ecosystem. If you are a Cardano ADA holder, consider registering to vote in Catalyst Fund 9, and you can find the links to our Fund 9 proposals at rootsid.com/proposals. We are happy to be partnering in Fund 9 with SnapBrillia, who is building quadratic voting and developer bounty systems, DirectEd, who is building an educational scholarship smart contract system, LearnerShape, who is building a verifiable skills system, and Freeos, who is building a verifiable KYC service. Please consider voting for these projects as well. And if you are looking for an excellent SSI resource, we recommend subscribing to Identisphere, who keeps track of SSI articles, conferences, job postings, and more. Identity Woman and InfoMiner do an incredible job collecting the latest information, and we are proud Identisphere Patreon supporters.